Hey everyone, welcome to the Mind of Ro page. So for the last few weeks I've been making some videos on how to work with the Neteru and the Orishas on balancing our chakras, which are our energy centers. So this week I've been focused on how to balance our crown chakra. The last video I made, I was in the mountains and I was speaking to you guys about Obatala. So today I'm going to focus on the Neteru and I'm going to be speaking on Ra and Ausar. So what you're looking at right here is actually a plate for Ra, and I am burning some frankincense. Yes, Ra likes frankincense being offered to him. So before I get started, if you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel at The Mind of Ro on YouTube and at Facebook, and also Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I am on all the social sites at Mind of Ro. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. The more the merrier, because I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers at least. Of course, I want to do more than that. I would love to be a millionaire, as in reach 1 million lives. So the more subscribers I get, the better. It's always free to subscribe. Show me some support. Click that bell and show me some love. So let's move on. So let's talk about Ra real quick. So Ra is an ancient Egyptian god, what we actually call Neter, or the Neterus, and he is a Neter of the sun. He is believed to rule all parts of the created world: the sky, the earth, the underworld. He is a Neter of not only the sun, but also the Neter of order, kings, royalty, and the sky. He is portrayed as a falcon with a sun above his head. He is often confused with Heru, so please, I'm just going to really quick describe the difference between Heru and Ra. So Ra, I hope the alarm doesn't go off. I might blow it out a little bit. Hold on. So Ra is actually seen with a sun on his head, while Heru is seen with a crown on his head, a white and red crown. So I noticed a lot of people like to post pictures of the Neteru, and a lot of people have been making some memes with pictures of Ra and saying Heru on it, or Horus is who I'm talking about. So Horus's first name is actually Heru, his original African name, and then after a while it has been changed to Horus. So when I say Heru, that's who I'm speaking of. So Ra has a sun on his head, while Heru has a crown on his head, which is a white and red crown, just so you know the difference. And so Ra is associated with the same colors as fire, so yellow, orange, and red. His best offers for him is actually citrus fruit, so oranges, lemons, grapefruit, etc. I think he likes all kinds of fruit offered to him, but the best kind of fruit to offer him is typically citrus fruit. What some people like to do is place a bowl of fruit out under the sun as an offer to him, and then the next day what you would do is you would eat the fruit, so you would soak in Ra's energy. Or you could do what I do, is offer his food on a plate that is associated with any of his colors: red, yellow, orange, any colors that would be associated with fire, because he is considered associated with the sun, therefore he is a fire deity. So what you would do is use those colors for his plate or for his candle. I have a white candle because he is an ascended being, and it's actually the color of marble, and that's why I chose this candle. So, but usually what you would do is use the same colors, that would be yellow, red, or orange for a candle for Ra, and those colors as a plate, and then you would offer him the offers I just listed previously on that plate. So why would you contact Ra? Because Ra is the creator, and he is powerful, and he is a higher knowing being. This is why you would contact Ra, because Ra is the creator. Therefore, if you want to have more of the type of powerful energy to help manifest your goals and manifest your dreams, Ra would be a great being to give an offer to, so you could get a piece of his energy to be able to create what your dreams are, what your passion is, and whatever it is that is holding you back in life, that's keeping you from creating your dreams or be able to manifest it into reality. He will help actually heal those aspects within yourself and help release whatever blockages you have that's getting in the way from you manifesting your goals and dreams. So this is actually why you would give offers to Ra, is so he could help you manifest your dreams and goals and whatever you're ambitious about, to help give you the power and the energy to be able to create your goals and create, not only to be able to take it out of your mind and be able to turn it into reality. Because Ra is considered the creator being, as in the Big Bang, or what people call the Big Bang Theory. But according to the ancient Kemetians, this is what they believed Ra, this is what they seen Ra as. So my personal experience with Ra, when I meditated on him, he basically explained the concept that I noticed there's a New Age movement beliefs that people say everything's made of light. Yeah, up to an extent. Everything isn't made of the light that people try to make it seem. It's not like this light, peaceful energy, calm energy that people seem to think everything is made out of. If you think about the Big Bang and how powerful it was to create this universe, like literally a big bang of existence and force that went out, shooting out to create what we live in now, the universe, that is who Ra is. So yeah, I guess you could say Ra is light, but Ra is pure power and force. As in, when you speak to Ra, this is what I've learned from meditating on him. If you were to communicate with him, the messages that he gives you actually is pretty much trickling down to this dimension, because if you were to really feel pure Ra energy, you would explode. So you don't want to actually 100% feel actually the Neteru Ra's energy, because it's too strong, it's too ascended, it's too forceful, it's too strong for any human to ever be able to handle. And I know a lot of people who are enlightened have all this ego, like, of course I could handle Ra's energy. No, you can't. Maybe if his energy trickled down through the universe, this is how he communicates, because he is such an ascended being, and we cannot handle that type of energy because we would literally explode and be obliterated. When he does speak, it is definitely kind of like a tiny little piece of him that you are getting. So when you do make offers to Ra, know what I'm trying to help you understand the power that he has and the power he could give you. So Ra is basically the Big Bang of existence into this universe. He is the beginning, the light that created everything. But of course there is Noon, who is before Ra, which is nothingness, but we're not going to talk about that right now. I'm actually going to make another video to explain that concept, but we're going to just focus on Ra right now, as in he is the Big Bang, or then there was light. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that saying. That's basically what Ra is. So why would you contact Ra for your crown chakra? I think it's pretty obvious why, because he is he is the highest deity. He is the creator. He's powerful, and he also helps you have a higher understanding of things. So as a human being, we have been born on this planet and we were raised by other human beings. We watch the media every single day. We hang out with other human beings. We tend to not have a high understanding because we get stuck in this tornado of energy that this planet tends to offer us. So the reason why you would want to contact Ra is to help you ascend beyond the human perception, to be able to see beyond the illusion that has been set in front of our eyes since the day we were born in this dimension. If you really want to see from a higher perspective and have a higher understanding of why things are the way they are, why are you going through whatever it is that you're going through, ask Ra. He's going to give you a much higher understanding of things. So a lot of the stresses that we have on this in this universe, or in this specific dimension that we're in the third dimension, to be stressed out about everything that's happening. I know it seems like we're going through a pandemic right now, and it seems like, well, why this, why that? I don't want to sound cheesy, but everything happens for a reason. Everything is made of chaos and order, and without friction, there would be no growth. And these are the kind of concepts, speaking to Ra, would help you understand, would help you be able to not understand the issues that you've been going through, but be able to see what is stopping you from moving forward, and be able to have a much higher perspective of, let's say, what's going on with the pandemic right now. And I know we could be really stubborn and want to be angry about everything, but there is peace on the other side. And I don't mean the cheesy kind of peace as in problems will 100% go away, because there's no such thing, because the whole universe is made of war and peace and in chaos and order. There is no such thing as everything would be perfect one day. That's just our human illusion and human perspectives, that we have this false belief that something's supposed to be a certain way and that everything that is happening is wrong. And the Eye of Ra, everything isn't wrong. Everything just is. So be able to understand that concept, not only to be able to just hear what I'm saying, but to be able to understand it at a soulful level, as in be able to feel what I'm saying and really understand. Because there's a difference to hear what I'm saying and to really have it resonate with you. That's what Ra is for, and this is why you would make offers to Ra. He'll help you understand things from a much higher perspective, and we understand the chaos going on and we understand the peace going on. We tend to be a lot more at peace within ourselves, a lot more at peace within our life, and a lot more at peace with what's happening around us, because we get it, you know? So, yeah, Johnny, he said, no beginning, no end. Everything is the infinity symbol. I see what you're saying. So, let me move on really quick. Oh, I want to give you a warning really quick. About Ra. So I do make a lot of videos on contacting specific beings, and some are easier to contact than others. Just to let you know, if you do want to take the time to contact Ra, because he is a very popular Neteru, a lot of people who don't even study ancient Kemetic or ancient Egyptian stories have typically heard of Ra. If you do decide to contact him, know that he could be a little hard to contact, because like how I said earlier, he's a very, very ascended being. He could be typically hard to hear, see, and feel, because you have to be at a much higher state within yourself to be able to hear a being, or to be able to accept the message that he's giving. Something I realize is sometimes we're just not ready to know things. So you could try to contact Ra, and he could spit some wisdom to you. But if you're not ready to hear it, it could go one ear and out the other. If you're a very low vibing person, if your mind is too chaotic, he could be very hard to be able to communicate with, because all the Neteru actually usually they don't speak as much, because they're very ascended. They don't really communicate the way us humans do. So when they give messages, they actually give in more like, I guess, pictures, images. That's very symbolic, kind of like how your dreams are. So when you go to sleep, you have another part of your brain that's awake, and then your conscious brain goes to sleep while your subconscious brain wakes up. And then the way you dream, like how everything you dream and see in your dreams, whether it's colors, people, objects, they're all subliminal. So if you actually study the concept of dreams, then it'll be easier for you to understand the images that the Neteru show you when you are to meditate and give them offers. It's easier for you to understand what they're trying to say to you if you were to study dreams. There's a site called Dream Moods that I like to go to. It basically has a dictionary. You could just look up anything from book to the color red to your teeth falling out, and it'll basically break everything down. That way, if you sit in front of an offer to Ra and meditate, you'll have a higher understanding of the images that's being shown to you. So somebody said no beginning, no end. That kind of contradicts the concept of Ra being the beginning. So when I say Ra being the beginning, what I mean is this dimension, as in this reality. So because the whole entire universe is made of basically a figure 8, to make it simple. Of course, it's more complicated than that, but I'm just going to, put it in a nutshell. We do live in a reality that belongs to us and other beings that are connected to us. So yes, there is a such thing as the beginning of realities. It's no different than when you were born. You created a new reality the second you were born that was collectively connected to other consciousness. So when I say Ra is the Big Bang, as in there was light in the beginning, I mean he is the beginning to this reality, to the physical reality that we are in. So the difference between physical and non-physical is the slower energy moves, and this is a scientific fact, the slower energy moves, the more solid it appears. As in, you could see the plate in front of me, you could see the feather, you could see your phone right now or your computer, but you can't see the space in between, because the space in between is moving much faster than the space that you're looking at, like this cup, my hand, etc. So when I say Ra is the beginning, I mean the beginning of this physical realm, as in this third dimension, and previous dimensions that have created this dimension. There are dimensions that are so beyond our consciousness, it is impossible for us to understand it. Those are the levels that I obviously can't explain to you, but this is what I mean when I say Ra is the beginning of this reality, this level of consciousness, this dimension. So that's what I mean by that. So moving on, I'm going to actually move on to Ausar. Ausar is also known as Osiris. I'm sure a lot of you have maybe heard of Osiris. Osiris or Ausar. So because Ausar is his original African name, from now on I'm going to say Ausar. I'm not going to say Osiris. Osiris is the name that the Greeks gave him after they invaded. So let's go way back to our original ancestral roots and let's call Ausar, out of respect, his original name, Ausar, instead of Osiris. So Ausar is a Neteru of the dead, resurrection into eternal life. His story is him going through a very traumatic death, dying, and then rising again as a new conscious being. I'm sure that story sounds very familiar to you. If you look up the story of Ausar, if you do Google this story, you're going to be able to find it much easier if you look up by the word Osiris, or his name Osiris, because Google is ran by Europeans. If you want to look up Ausar's story, you have a higher chance of finding more information if you look up his name as Osiris, but just know that his original name actually is Ausar. Somebody said, what is Jesus' original name? That's a hard question to answer because I don't want to offend anybody, but according to my belief, Jesus doesn't exist. Therefore, he has no name. But from my studies, the first name that the specific energy was given by Abrahamic believers, his Greek original name was Lusus, but that's by the Greeks. For those of you who's watching this video on YouTube, you cannot see the comment, but somebody left a comment saying, what is Jesus' original name? That's my answer. I'm sure some of you don't like the answer. Some of you love the answer, but go ahead and research it a little bit yourself. His original Greek name in the beginning of the Bible that was created by the Greeks is Lusus, but before that, the stories were actually created by multiple stories taken from Africa, multiple gods, as in, for an example, Ausar, Ra, Heru, are some of the Orishas. One of the major Orishas that some of the stories were taken from to create the story of Jesus is actually Eshu or Elegba. So if you do a little research on those names, you'll see exactly where those stories came from. These stories existed way before the Bible was ever created, way before the Greeks ever invaded. And so you can see how fabulous these stories are and how meaningful they are, and you can see why they were stolen and turned into something else. But I don't want to get too much into that. I'm just answering somebody's question really quick. Let's move on and talk about Ausar. So Osar is the ruler, protector, and the judge of the deceased. He is depicted with a white crown, carrying a crook and a flail. Sometimes he could be seen with a green face. He is associated with the colors white, black, and green. Because Osar is seen as an ascended being, sometimes you'll see him being associated with white. But because he is also associated with the underworld, sometimes he could be associated with black. But also he is considered one of our creator beings, as in who helped create the reality we are in, as in this planet Earth. Therefore, he could be associated with the color green as well, which is the color of the life that we have on Earth, like plants, Gaia, etc. So when you do look up images of Ausar, you'll notice that sometimes he's depicted as a few different looking Osars, whether he's the underworld god, the ascended version of Osar, or the earthly Osar, which sometimes he could be associated with brown, I think, but usually he's seen as with green sometimes. So just like how I said earlier with Ra, if you do give any offers to Osar, it's best to give the offers on a plate that's associated with him. Because I have a white plate, it's because that's the version of Osar that I would like to speak to. If you want to speak to Osar about the underworld and get answers about that, then you would of course give him some food on a plate, on a black plate. Just be mindful of what you're messing with, so if you don't want to start out that kind of concept, or if you're too scared about that kind of stuff, then it's good to just start it with a white plate and speak to the ascended version of Osar. That way you can move on later with your experience, I guess, to see, what other versions you would like to speak to at first. But if you've never spoken to Osar, it's best to work with the ascended white version or light version of Osar. And foods that he likes corn. He likes white flour. So he likes a lot of white foods. So white flours, cotton, grapes, of course cotton. I've got him regular cotton from the store, but the best kind is actually the real cotton that would actually, the way it grows straight off the bush would be the best offer for him. Grapes, white bread, white rice, bananas, cake, probably white cake would be the best, flour, yams, and he does like beer. Do not give him liquor, because he is an ascended being. Majority of very ascended beings who's associated with the color white, or they're usually higher on the spectrum of dimensions, you usually typically don't want to give them liquor. Those are usually different dimensional beings you want to give liquor to. Usually warrior spirits you want to give liquor to. Osar, never give him liquor. You can give him beer, but no, if you read about the story of Ausar, because in his story, he is known for drinking beer and causing mistakes because he drank beer and creating humanity. Go ahead and do your little research. I'm not going to get too much info on it because I don't like to talk about too many details in the stories. I just like to talk about the spiritual aspect and how they could heal you. But if you would like to know a little more information on why you shouldn't give him beer and what happened to him when he drank beer, of course, this is all very subliminal. Don't take it literal, but when you do give him literal offers to represent that concept, beer would be kind of like a concept to kind of chill him out a little bit, chill his energy out a little bit, make his energy a little easy. If you're going through a lot of stuff and you're asking for a lot from him, it just in case he gets agitated, give him a little beer if he approves of it. But you typically don't want to give him beer because he tends to make mistakes. He's known to make mistakes if you give him beer. Go ahead and do some research on it so you can see exactly what I mean by his story about him, which is a lot like Obatala. I did a video on Obatala a few days ago when I was at the mountains. Obatala is also known to have been drinking wine, and because he drank wine, he made mistakes on creating humans. So if you've done some research on African stories, there's a lot of stories of gods drinking alcohol, and then making mistakes on human beings. Do some research on it. It's pretty interesting. This is why the whole concept of why some people are born with deformities, and why certain things, why we act a certain way, because he made a mistake creating us. And that's like a pretty cool story to read into, so you could have a higher understanding of Ausar and Obatala, and why they love us so much for the imperfections that we have, and that we are perfectly imperfect. And that way it'll give you a higher understanding of why we are the way we are, and why we are still loved for being the way we are, and the false idea of perfection. Hold on, I read some comments really quick. So somebody asked, are there really gods or just extraterrestrials mistaken as gods because of your technology and status symbol? I'm not sure what you mean by that last part. So I'm going to answer the question with this. As above, so below, as within, so without, as our soul, so the universe. This person asked, are there really gods or are they extraterrestrials? All of the above, because the laws of the universe is as above, so below. There's these gods that I speak of are forces of nature that helped create the universe. These energies live through us as well. So I'm sure you've heard this saying, we are gods, or I am God, or the universe is within us, or God is within us. I'm sure you've heard this saying. This is where this concept and this saying came from. So yes, there are forces of nature. Even if I was never born, they would still exist. If humans were never born, they would still exist. But because we have been born and we do exist here, their energy lives within us as well. This is why you give them offers to help that energy run through you in your life much more. So if you want raw energy, you would give him an offer and you would get some more of his energy. Of course, we already have it, but if you want to times it by 10, this is why we give offers, so we could kind of basically blow up that energy within us and make it a lot stronger. Basically, when you give offers, you're getting this being's attention much more than when you're not giving them offers. It's healing through the gods and letting the gods heal through you. So when it comes to extraterrestrials, because the universe is abundantly just forever and ever and ever, there are numerous extraterrestrials, and some extraterrestrials have more energy of, let's say, Ausar energy, and then some extraterrestrials might have more raw energy. So basically what I'm saying, I believe that there are beings out there who have cat heads, who might look a lot like Sekhmet, who is a Neteru, or the war healer deity. I'm sure you've seen her. She has a lioness head. Therefore, some of those beings would have a cat head, and they could live in our dimension. I believe that there's also extraterrestrials that live outside of our dimension. Everything is abundant. Therefore, there is no black and white answers. All of it is above. There are extraterrestrials that may look like the Neteru in this dimension. There's some that live beyond our dimension, other dimensions. And then there's also the forces of nature, because as above, so below, as within, so without, as our soul, so the universe. Everything is a conscious, collective nature within this whole entire universe. And this is what our ancient ancestors have been trying to explain to us for centuries and centuries and centuries. And this is why they've been giving them offers. This is why they try to reach the stars and line up the pyramids with the stars so they can communicate not only with higher dimensional extraterrestrials, but also with the Neteru, or the Orishas, or the gods, or the angels, or whatever you want to call them, multidimensional beings. So I know there's a lot of people who tend to want to argue about, are they this or are they that? All of it. When we have a higher perspective of how the universe and dimensions work, we start to see how everything is a whole entire picture, and it's not this or that. Believing it's either this or that is called the illusion of duality. And our colonizers that tend to run this planet love to get us lost in the illusion of duality. They say, well, if you look at my left hand, then you can't see what's in my right hand. Well, if you refuse to look at my left hand because you're a rebel, then I'm going to say something to make you look at my right hand. And then we forget There's more than just what's in the left hand and the right hand. It is abundant. There's multiple possibilities, and it's all added together into this giant universe we call the heavens, or the underworld, or earth, or other dimensions and whatnot. So I hope I answered your question. I know it's a pretty deep stuff. It's good to meditate on this kind of stuff. If you actually summon Ausar or summon Ra and ask them these type of questions, they'll help you understand from a much higher perspective, because they not only show you in images, they show you in emotions and feelings. And a lot of times when you speak to Neteru, because they're such ascended beings, they'll actually beam information in your head, and you'll feel like your brain is going to explode and be like, oh my God, that's so deep, man. I don't even know how I missed this the whole time. And it feels like once they give you the information, it feels like you've had it your whole entire life and you just realized it. Because you do have it. You do have this information. You just got to open those gateways and open those doorways for you to be able to release it back out from your soul again, basically. So let's move on really quick. So why would you contact Ausar? Here's one of the major reasons why you want to contact Ausar, because there's a big story of Ausar being cut up into pieces and spread along the planet, or spread along the universe, which is a concept of separation. This is why I think reading about Ausar is a great way to understand a higher perspective of why things are the way they are. So there's a story of Ausar being cut up into a bunch of pieces and thrown all over the place. So Ausar eventually gets brought together, but there was only one piece missing, and ends up being his penis. So you gotta listen. I know it sounds funny, but go ahead and read into it a little bit. So because that's his story, Ausar does end up being brought back together. Therefore, when you give offers to Ausar, he's a great being to talk to help bring your life together. As in, he could bring any family separation, or breakups, or spats you've had with friends, or misagreements or misunderstandings amongst coworkers. Any situation that you're having, giving Ausar an offer would actually help bring that together, as in bring light to the situation, to be able to help you and the other person be able to understand each other's perspective, to bring that together. Now, no, sometimes you're not supposed to have a specific person in your life, or a specific job, or a specific place you're supposed to live. So know that that's why you always divine first, to ask if they'll do this for you, because sometimes you're not supposed to have certain things or be around certain people in your life. So no, it doesn't work for everybody. It is not a binding spell. I'm sure some people have heard of binding spells, which I do not agree with, because I think that's going against somebody else's free will. Ausar is not going against anyone's free will. He just basically brings the light to your awareness and to whoever else that you want to bring the light to, because he's a ascended being. That's what he does. He helps bring situations back together. If you have not been on your soul's path yet, and you want to be on your soul's path, giving offers to Ausar will help bring that life together. But please know, there's a lot of things in your life that you will have to get rid of to be able to have the life that you yearn for. Because I've had to go through that. Everybody I know has had to go through that. So just know, if you do give offers to Ausar and you want to get on your soul's higher purpose, know there are some things you're going to have to get rid of in your life to be able to walk that path. You might have to change a job. You might have to move. You might have to get rid of some toxic people. It's part of the growth. It is part of the journey. So just be mindful of that if you do want to work with Ausar and bring that together, that you have a high chance of stuff like that happening, as in some parts of your life will fall apart like Ausar and then come back together. So just be mindful of that. Don't expect everything to be perfect, because Ausar is an ascended being. Know that some darkness may happen. Like Ausar has an underworld energy, some darkness may happen in your life to bring the light, as in resurrection, death, resurrection. This is what he represents, and this is the energy that he holds, and this is the energy that he will give you if you want to be on that what we like to call an Ifa, the straight path. This is not Ifa practice. This is Kemetic, but this is I also practice Ifa, so we call it the straight path, which is to be able to walk the straight path to your higher purpose without being without having to go in a whole bunch of circles, you know, and hit a whole bunch of roadblocks on the way there. This is what is called to live the straight path to your higher purpose. So yes, Ausar will definitely help you with that. But if you are nowhere near your higher purpose, you're probably going to have to give a whole lot of offers to Ausar, not just a bowl like this, just letting you know. This that I gave him right here is some rice mixed with milk. If you watch my other videos, you'll notice I give a lot of ascended beings white rice and milk, like Obatala and Tahuti, beings like that kind of food because the whiteness and the energy within it. What else did he do? Let me see. I think I already said that I help the concept of resurrect, as in he'll help you kill whatever is within yourself that is not serving you, so you could resurrect. So I know that story sounds very, very familiar, which this story has been existing. So the concept of death and rebirth has been existing for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, prior to any Abrahamic religion, prior to any Greek mythology. This concept has been understood by the Africans way before they were ever colonized. It's not a new concept. We've already known about it. All the indigenous people already know the concept of dying and rising again. These stories have been existing forever, basically since the beginning of mankind and the indigenous people's lifestyle, beliefs, spirituality. Just so you know, it's okay to do a little research to see what I'm talking about. So this concept is really obviously universal, but mostly important to ourselves as human beings on this planet, that if we want to ascend and live an ascended life and be able to live our higher purpose, we're going to have to shed our lower purpose, which is our karma loop that we tend to get stuck in on this planet. So to be able to ascend, you're going to have to die and then be reborn again, which basically means, you know, the resurrection, and to shed that which does not serve you so you can live your higher path. But most of us get scared. Most of us don't like change. And that's why a lot of us can't ascend, because we want to keep holding on to people and habits that don't serve us. And we're like, well, what if I fail? Well, you're failing if you're not letting go of these things. So that's the concept of resurrection, is to be able to kill those aspects of yourself and kill certain lifestyles to get rid of it so you could resurrect and be ascended, like Osar or Jesus. Like I'm sure you've heard. Sounds like a very similar story. So my personal experience with Osar, because I've been having some issues with my sister recently, so I wanted to kind of bring some light and understanding to her and to me, or to us, to bring us, you know, back together while I'm on this path. So Ausar told me this is some occult work that you could do. I did not say cult work. I said occult work. So please know the difference. Occult work, it basically means secret knowledge. So he told me that if you have any issues with a family member or friend that you would like to bring back together, the best thing you could do is go to a bridge. And you go to the highest one you could find, because Osar's energy is ascended. The higher the bridge you find, the better. You're going to go to this bridge and you're going to offer Osar white flowers and white food. The best offer is like this. What I have here is rice and milk. If you do make any ascended being rice, make sure you do not cook it with any oils, no butter, no salt, definitely no pepper because it's black, nothing, just water and just rice. So just be mindful you do not add anything to it. You want it to be as clean as you could keep it. So just water and rice, and you're basically just going to mix it with some milk, and however much you want to give. It really depends on how much work you're asking for. And like I say in all my other videos, before you give any offers to any of the Neteru or Orishas, always divine first. I will tag a video with this video so you know how to divine, because you do not want to make the wrong offer, because it's not going to work. You got to make sure you're getting everything correct and you're giving the correct offers, and you're taking it to the correct place and you're doing it correctly. This is why you want to divine on it first. And then always feed the crossroad deities, as in you're going to offer offer Sobek some food and Anpu some food. These are the crossroad deities. They are the doorkeepers. They open and close the doorway. Because Ausar is not a human, he doesn't communicate like us, or Ra doesn't either. Sobek and Anpu open the doorway of communication. So if you want this work to work better for you and you want the communication back and forth for you to be able to hear or see or feel Ausar and Ra communicating back, you need to make sure you feed the doorkeepers at the crossroads, and I will tag a video with this video so you can see exactly what I speak of. And you would do the same thing with them. You would divine and ask them, I want to speak to so-and-so, and this is what I want to ask them for, and this is what I'm going to give. Can you make sure they get this message? Would you like this or this or that for this request? And then that's how you would divine and get the answer at the crossroads, and you would give something to Anpu and Sobek. Just like Ifa, you always eat Eshu first. So in ancient Commission or ancient Kemet, it's like Ifa, but instead of Eshu, you're going to feed Sobek and Anpu first before you give an offer to any Neteru. So I'm going to read some comments over here really quick. Somebody said, I am able to pray to them without giving. Of course you could. You don't have to give an offer to pray to these beings. You could always pray to them. The reason why you give them offers is so you could get energy from them. That's why you give offers. You don't have to give them offers to communicate. They're always available. These are forces of nature. They're here whether you believe in them or not, whether you ask them to be around or not. They're here 100% all the time. But if you want something from them, like a major shift in your life, let's say you want to snag a job, you want a better relationship, let's say you have depression and you want to get rid of it, offers work so well, and I'm not the only one to have had this experience, but other people have had this experience, that as long as you do the offer correctly and you're communicating correctly, you can get rid of something that is disturbing you as soon as the next morning you wake up. This is how powerful this is, and this is why it's been hidden from us and taken from us for centuries and centuries and centuries, and why it's still hidden from us today, because it's powerful shit, to be honest. It really is. And people actually get paid to serve the Neteru, to heal other people, and to serve the Orishas, to heal people. This is priesty work. All the stuff that I show is very basic. Of course, if you were a priest or a priestess, priests and priestesses tend to know way more detailed aspects than giving just food. You could do some work by just giving food, but if you want to do some major work, like save someone's life is in a hospital and their life is at hand, and you want them to heal overnight, then you would go to a priest or a priestess, because that's going to take a way bigger offer, way more details, way more even quotes or prayers, specific things that need to be said to specific Neteru or Orishas to have major moves like that to happen. Let's say trying to get somebody out of jail, stuff like that. Major things. Trying to switch your whole life around, and you need like a whole bunch of offers. It's the best thing to do. It really is to go to a priest or a priestess who specializes in this kind of stuff. But you could definitely do this at home for all this simple stuff. Anybody could do this. But that's the concept of giving offers, because you don't want to take. It's about equal, being able to be fair, because you don't want somebody to keep calling you and asking you for stuff, and you ain't paying them. You want to be fair. And it also has to do with the energy of food, because when we eat food, it gives us energy. Therefore, of course, they're not physical. They don't eat it. But you got to think, like, for example, if you were to think about the energy of an orange, what does the energy of an orange feel like? It feels refreshing, it feels cleansing, it feels healing. Therefore, that's why a lot of ascended beings ask for citrus fruit for offers, because what they'll do is they will take the energy of the orange and transmute it into your life and aim it toward a specific area in your life that you need it, that you specifically asked for. And I'm sure you've heard of the concept of transmuting energy, and if you haven't, go ahead and look into it a little bit. When I say transmuting, I'm speaking about universal life forces energy. I'm not talking about light bulb energy. I mean, you know, a much deeper concept of that. But that's basically the concept of it, and why you want to give food is you don't want to be greedy, because, and also you don't want to just keep giving for no reason. There has been really some bad stories of people just giving to crossroads, to a specific crossroad deity Eshu, just because she thought he was going to open doors for her, and it actually ended up driving him insane, and her life went downhill. So this is why you always divine, and don't just give without asking, and don't take without asking. You always want to be fair. These are ascended beings. When you give offers and you ask, you're showing them respect. So you're going to show them respect the way you want respect, plus more, because they are ascended beings. So you really want to act as if that's what you're speaking to, and that's what you're asking of, is favors from ascended beings. Let me read this comment really quick. It said, with your left foot forward. So no, when you speak to Neteru, the best way to greet a male Neteru is to put the right knee on the ground, and to show and pay respects to a female or feminine Neter is to put your left knee on the ground. So if you have constant pains in your right side of your body, it represents your male side of your ancestors, while your left side of your body represents your female side of your ancestors, as in your mom's ancestors represents your left side, your right side represents your father's side. So left is always feminine, right is always masculine. Let me repeat it one more time so you can remember. Right side is your father's side, ancestors. If you have any tingly feelings or pain on your right side, no. Sometimes it could be messages from your father's side, ancestors. Left side is your mother's side. When you pay respects to a feminine female Neteru, always put your left knee to the ground, while for the male masculine Neteru, you're going to put your right knee to the ground to pay your respects to these beings. So I think that's all, folks. That's all the information that I have. Thanks for the questions. It's actually the first time a lot of people actually started asking me questions. Sometimes people tend to act like flies in the wall when they're watching my videos. So thanks for asking me questions. You're welcome, Michael. Thanks for reaching out. I hope everybody is having a powerful, peaceful, balanced night. Hotep. Oh, before I go, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, @MindofRo, and hit that notification bell. Peace.